Hey, welcome to KUAM News' Decision 2014. I'm Jess Lujan, host of The Buzz with a Candidate, alongside my producer, Keen Conception, JC. In the studio with me this morning, we have former Senator Judy Gutherts, Democrat. Good morning, Senator.
Buenos, Jesse, and buenos, Adonis.
And, of course, a new candidate from the Republican side, Adonis Mendiola, who happens to be the Director of the Department of Youth Affairs.
Fide, thank you so much for having us. Thank you, KUAM, and
of
welcome
course,
to all.
We're live here in ISLA 63. This is being recorded, of course, for tonight at 7:30 on Docomo's local channel 2, as well as highlights on KUAM Headline News tonight at between 6 and 6:30. And likewise, this will be broadcast as well tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock on KUAM TV 8.
Nice.
And then we'll be on KUAM YouTube channel as well, and it'll be ready about 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning.
Thank
okay.
you.
Well, welcome, candidates. How are you doing this morning?
Very, very
Good morning.
well.
Good.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and start off, and we decided women will go first.
Okay.
Okay. There we
Great.
go. Again, your name, what you do, and your political platform. You got 1 minute.
Okay. Well, my name is Judy Gutherts, and I am a former professor at the School of Business and Public Administration at the University of Guam, where I taught for 27 years. Also a former academic vice president at the University of Guam. And I keep busy since leaving the legislature, Jesse. I started helping out DOE as a classroom teacher. And last school year I taught at Antolon Middle School, and I wanted to find out what's really going on in the schools, and the best way is to get in the trenches and work with the children there and find out what the issues are and be better prepared should I run again for senator with good public policy legislation. My platform really focuses on public safety and education, and I want to emphasize that I truly believe, after seeing what I saw in the schools, there's a great need to reintroduce civics education in our schools and in our community. I think if we have more civics education and we have programs in the community that promote civics education, I think we'll have less problems on the island. So that's my focus.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you.
Adonis.
Fide, my name is Adonis Mendiola. I'm the son of Joe and Agnes Mendiola. Married to the beautiful Charlene Board Mendiola, 25 years. I live and currently reside in the village of Ipan Talafofo. I'm a veteran, 15-year veteran, Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and of course Enduring Freedom. I'm currently the Director of Department of Youth Affairs, and I'm proud of my 24 years of public service, both private and public. And the point of my platform, I have 3 points, but the first most important point is obviously creating higher, better paying jobs and job training, so workforce development, along with looking after my fellow veterans, their benefits and the health care provided to them, and finally helping shape the policy of our migrant issues here on Guam and abroad.
Okay. Hey, thank you very much again for that. But let me ask you, since both of you, I mean, look at both of your platforms, and you have similar entities here. And let's start off with veterans. You know, nationally, we've read and heard, and of course, to the dismay of all, you know, and I guess and even the treatment of our veterans and their wait time. They say that's not really applicable here in Guam. Our wait time is not compared to, you can't compare them to some other waits. But in a lot of the treatment here of our veterans here in Guam as well, where they have to go get the approval, I guess, off island in Hawaii at this point, we're talking about, you know, I mean, it's not to be had anymore. The old Naval Hospital should have been. We had hoped that it converted to, you know, some kind of facility to be able to treat the local vets as well. That's not to be had. The Filipino vets have their own clinic, basically, in the Philippines. What do you propose, again, to be able to do to get us to where we're at, to be really recognized and you know, as the highest amount of per capita volunteer service here, you know, of all the United States, and really we always get the blunt.
Sure.
Well, Adonis, let me go ahead.
Okay,
You start.
go ahead.
Okay, Adonis.
Sure, I appreciate the intro there, and as a segue, I'd like to say that some people do and don't know. I've served also with the Guard and the Reserves here on Guam, and many of my brothers, in fact, my personal brother, has had to go through that waiting process. So while the review has come in that somehow, some way, it's not as bad as we might think. I say every person has a reality. And the reality of it is my brother had to go through a long, painstaking process, not just here locally, but externally. I mean, waiting for records, waiting for reviews. And that's important to every single soldier or sailor or seaman or airman who's had to wait for their cases to be tried. Because it isn't just that soldier, it's their families that are impacted. It isn't just their families, it's their extended network, people who provide support to a veteran who might be wounded, who might be scarred, and might need the assistance right away. So I think it stands to reason that any situation can be improved, and we need to sustain current situation. But even as the local government, as advocates, we need to stand up and really help our veterans fight for benefits and that they deserve.
Thank you. Senator, you have a minute 15.
Well, I have to say, it's a matter of leadership. I don't think the leadership's been there to advocate for our veterans, whether in the legislature or in the executive branch, to be frank with you. I think it's inappropriate and unfair that our veterans on Guam are forced to go to the so-called Veterans Center that was never built for that purpose. That was a former house converted into a Veterans Center. And they still are encountering, right now, they're still encountering problems there with facilities and so forth and so on. We locally, the local government must give more priority to Guam's veterans. And I think one way we can do that rather quickly, and this is what I would do if I were a senator, I would introduce a bill immediately to reassign the Veterans Affairs Office to the Department of Military Affairs of the government of Guam. The Department of Military Affairs, as you know, houses our National Guard component. And I think if it was part of that department, it would be given more stature, more focus, more respect, and more support through the various opportunities provided by the National Guard. At the same time, I would build a proper veteran center for our veterans on Guam in Agana, to be located, frankly, to be located where the current Department Administration building is.
Okay, thank you very much. Now let's shift a little bit now to job creations. Okay,
Yep.
let's go job creations. What do you propose? The 23rd Guam legislature. What would your proposal be? What would you try to work with your colleagues in terms of proposing jobs, job creation, better job opportunities, higher paying jobs as opposed to just entry-level jobs?
Okay, very good. Well, our government is very magnanimous. We provide educational opportunities for our people. We have a fully operational free public school system, ages 6 to 18, 16, all through high school. We have a fully available university, a community college. We have a trades academy that we help support, the government of Guam. We have the institutional support. What's missing is the interest and commitment of the population to access these opportunities. So we have to get our people to want to get skills, to see the benefits of getting skills, so that they can come into these institutions and get the training they need so they can have better jobs. At the same time, I believe that we need to provide incentives to businesses. Jesse, there's too many laws, too many regulations on our island. We need to repeal a lot of laws that slow down business opportunities, that unfortunately make it more difficult for businesses to operate, so that they can free up some of their money they use to comply with regulations to hire more people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You have a minute 8. Adonis, please.
Sure. I agree wholeheartedly. Choice is supreme. No matter where you go, in your home, out in the public, in the private sector as well. Choice is important. Choice is important for our risk takers, the businesses out there who obviously look for opportunities, look for needs to fill and fill them. And we do need to tear down the walls of bureaucracy, the regulatory issues that obviously prevent businesses from being able to come in here and obviously work for a profit. I mean, we all work for paychecks, and a business works for a profit. And that profit obviously will go towards building this economy, sustaining it, and obviously improving the opportunities and the choices to our people. As my good colleague here has stated, the opportunities exist. We're in the land of freedom. Where else can you go in any other country and know that you could go in a drop of a dime, send your child up to ULG or GCC or any of the other agencies and ask for assistance. There are Pell Grants, there are grants, there are scholarships, and all we need is for our people to choose that. Our families, our Sinus need to employ the want and the passion and the drive for their children and get their children to want it as bad as they need to have it.
Okay, now let's talk about something I'm passionate with, and all of us are as well. You used to work at GMH. You and I, we dealt in 29th KUAM legislature, GMH figures. Actually, we worked when I was a vice chair of healthcare. The situation with GMH. Administrator Verga just recently had, I guess, come back from St. Luke,
Yep.
a hospital we're very familiar with. And I applaud his efforts in trying to bring back the expertise so that people won't have to go off island. I applaud all those efforts. But we still have not identified, again, the source. I mean, at the time that we were dealing with that, it was a bucket full of holes. This bucket has become bottomless at this point. What do you propose? What do you propose, again, for us to be able to get it in financial stability? Is it time? Are you willing to put everything on the table and look at all the entities? One of the first things in the 27th KUAM legislature that we've dealt with is the privatization of GTA. Are you willing to look at everything and call it what it is at that point when it needs to come to there? Because it doesn't seem, I mean, when we were in the legislature, it was 20 years ago we were dealing with this. It's 20 plus years for the hospital. What are your thoughts? What are your remedies or proposed remedies?
All right, very simple. And I proposed this a year ago. I wrote a column for the Marion's Variety on the future of the Guam Memorial Hospital. And I said, and I still believe this, it's really time to reevaluate the model of the Guam Memorial Hospital and to ask ourselves, does the government of Guam really need to own and operate a hospital? Now that we have a competing hospital, I think it's time for us to establish a brain trust, a think tank commission, simply on the future of the Guam Memorial Hospital and to come up with possible options. And one of those options, Jesse, in my opinion, is to look for a competitor for the new hospital, just like we did with GTA, possibly put it up for bidding and competition, and the government of Guam, if we found the right competitor, to take over and to invest and to, if we give them the same tax incentives we're giving the new hospital, the Medical City Hospital, I think the government of Guam could be something a lot better for the people when it comes to health care. What we could do is provide a health insurance to all of our people for all the money that we're spending right now on GMH. We could take care of the needy, make sure people have access to good health care, not have to operate a hospital, not have to make payroll, not have to operate a pharmacy, and not have to do all the administrative costs to go along with it.
Okay. Adonis, you got a minute 15.
Again, choice is king. We live in a land of freedom, and the hospital has, obviously, the issue of competition has come to roost. And competition is king. In a free economy, in a capitalistic society, you want to make sure you provide the best product, best service. As a 9-year veteran of hospital service and healthcare, 11 years, I know that our people need to be part of that solution. And there are people up there who think like a businessman, who think about improving services, who want efficiencies. And in our time there, we looked at efficiencies, even in pharmacy. Now that's from the inside looking out. But there are people on the outside looking in and says, I could probably privatize your billing process. I could probably streamline, your recovery of waste or efficiency of use of the items you've got there. We always want to look outside sometimes, but we have the tools from within. There are people who know how often medication might be wasted or how supplies might be misappropriated or misapplied, and we need to find those solutions within our people. Can outside entities help? I agree, they can. The opportunities exist. I think Joe Verga was trying to do that by way of bringing in new talent, but we need to look at the talent within. By the way, the pharmacy, since I'd left there and we'd opened up the windows to opportunities for great wages to rise, we have brought back, the hospital has brought back more homegrown pharmacists to this island. And those pharmacists don't come cheap, neither does their education. So we need to really shore up the institution's offerings and abilities to draw these individuals back and give them something to take pride and hold of.
Here it is. It's already bipartisan here as we start.
Yes, right.
Let me go with this again. So we're talking competition. We're talking about putting everything on the table and
different
models and starting to really, hey, let's call it what it is. Let's look at it. I love the thing competition.
Yeah.
And Judy, you and I were in the legislature as well, and Adonis, we worked together in this as well in looking at competition. The Jones Act is an act that has been upon us and very, very, very tough on our economy. I mean, no matter what we want to do, if this is still bestowed upon us, it's something that will definitely hinder our economic prosperity. What are your thoughts? How would you go about to force the delegate again in Washington, whoever that person may be, to work with us to get the lifting, to get the exemption of the Jones Act? When I talk Jones Act, I'm not just talking about shipping, because Jones Act is the title, but it deals with shipping and it deals with cabotage laws and things of that nature. What are your thoughts again with this, and how would you go about getting the exemption?
I believe cabotage and everything surrounding it at one point was relevant. Okay, it was established at one point when our security, our international security, the security of our waters, and maybe the security of food and anything else that's provided to us was important. But the relevancy of cabotage is no longer there. I'll give some of the providers some credit here, that they've been servicing for us for as long as they have. But we need more carriers, air carriers. We need shipping carriers. We need more carriers to come to Guam. Unfortunately, we lost the last of 2 shipping carriers. Now we're down to 1 shipping carrier. And we need to make sure that there are incentives, more importantly, a push, maybe at the congressional level, as well as all levels, to get other carriers to help service not just Guam, but the entire Micronesian islands in the region here. We need to look at together as a region how we can help lure other carriers here to see that, hey, you know what, we're not just going to be fleeced by one carrier. We need others to come in to bring in their service and opportunities. Our people are being subjected to having to carry now food with them on airlines. Our people are having to pay 3 times, 4 times as much for a cup of coffee maybe, and we can't have that. We need to come together as an island, as a community, at all levels, from grassroots, mayoral level, all the way up to the congressional level, and say, we're tired of it. We want opportunity, we want access to that opportunity to other competitors.
Thank you. Senator, you got a minute 30.
Well, I think the key here is that the only way we can get this changed is in Washington. And we've tried to make a strong case for it before. You remember when you were in the legislature.
We got half of what we asked.
We did, but we passed a lot of resolutions petitioning on the Jones Act. We've never really gotten too far with it. We have to probably go to court and present to the court arguments on why this is unfair to us, how monopolistic this is. In this day and age, we can understand it when it first came out as a law. But now, what are we, 80, 90 years later, and we're still falling under this, and it's not part of the American tradition, having monopolies decide your future. This contributes to a high cost of living on Guam. It also contributes to deterioration in the quality of life of our people who can't keep up with the cost of living because of the very excessive cost of shipping to the island, whether cargo or on ships or on planes and airplane tickets and all this other stuff. We're being treated as second-class Americans when it comes to this issue. So I would say we work hard in Washington. We go with the White House this time to get their support, and then go back to the Congress. And if that doesn't work, we go to court. And we join Hawaii and other areas that are impacted by this.
Okay, well, thank you. Back to you again, Senator. This the military buildup, their proposal now, they've moved from Pagat now to Ritidian. Your views, are you in agreement that Ritidian is the right place for this, and if not, what other alternatives do you propose for the firing range for this military buildup?
Thank you, Jesse. Jesse, one of the last things I did as a sitting senator in the last legislature in December of 2012 is I responded in writing to the initial SEIS discussion that was presented by the military to the people of Guam, where they listed their various alternatives. I looked at the pros and cons of each alternative in my paper and responding to their request for information. And I came to the conclusion then, and it was my first priority after studying all the alternatives and doing the research, was really the best location for the firing range is really Northwest Field. Northwest Field, provided and I put this in there, there's 3 provisions that they would have to be able to deal with. One is the landowners. Some way they have to ensure access of the landowners to their properties. 2 is they have to be able to deal with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which is very territorial, never wants to give up anything, so it's probably unlikely that they'd want to give up their operation there. And the third item, of course, are the fishermen, Guam's fishermen, that uses the waters that would be impacted by the firing range. They'd have to come to some agreement with those 3 areas in order to make this possible. I proposed it then, I still support it now, provided they can work out these details.
Okay. Adonis, you got a minute 15?
I appreciate my colleagues' comments, and you know, my stand on the buildup, so people know, is I'm 100% in support of the buildup. And what I need to make clear is, obviously there are questions, and there are questions, and then there are answers. Answers have come not just in this latest draft SEIS, but in the previous SEISs, and I think our people have been heard, and that's what they appreciate. Our people want to be heard on all facets, whether it be the hunters, whether it be the fishermen, maybe even the families that have land adjacent to Northwest Field, which obviously has been looked at as one of the most premier areas to have it, at least as far as safety and impact on our island. And you know, we've got to take calculated risks. That's why we ask the questions, so we can decide on what the answer will finally be. And I think our people need to understand that beyond this buildup, beyond maybe some of the issues that we think about, you know, the aquifer and the habitat and our people, we need to ask ourselves, you know, what do we have to gain from all of this? And I think people need to understand that. There's a give and there's a take, and I think right now it's lending itself, the buildup itself is lending itself not only to our deep-seated patriotism, okay, our patriotism, but also our need to provide jobs, our need to provide a more vital economy, a need to bring in new monies, and not just monies that are going to fall by the wayside and our people get the crumbs of it. We need our people to say, listen, this buildup can be good for Guam. It is good for Guam, and we need to make it right for Guam, all of our people. And I say this is why it's important that we develop our people, that we train them, that we outfit them. But they need to see it. They need to see that vision. They need to see that goal. That Guam is the premier island in this region, and we want to lead the way, but we want to lead it responsibly.
Thank you.
And with everything in mind.
We're going to go again with you starting off with this. War reparations. We've tried everything. The latest thing, of course, was to identify Section 30 monies and to pay ourselves with that. That didn't fly with Congress. Your thoughts? There was a publication. There was a in their own words, basically, that says, "Hey, look, let's give it up. It's not going to happen. Look, we should be satisfied because we're getting all these things. We have been with grants and things of that nature from the federal government." Joe T. St. Augustine had written to all the senators. You guys may have gotten a copy of his letter as well. He says, "Hey, maybe it's time now to look at going after the Japanese government in regards to them, because they were the ones that did this. Since the commitment from the U.S., they're not going to do it, and they're saying, hey, well, we didn't do this. We didn't cause the atrocities." What are your thoughts on that? Are you willing to consider that, since it looks like everything else have been considered? Where do you go? What is your proposal, or should we just dump war reparation at this point? Adonis, we'll start with you.
Well, I think in homage to my grandmother, my father, and many of my family who went through the war and had to go through the atrocities, some greater, some lesser, I think it's important that we never forget. And that's the most important thing about the war reparations, is it isn't so much that our memories have a dollar figure, but somehow that money might bring healing. I think what brings healing more often than not isn't going to be that money. It's just that someone understood the pain, the anxiety, the stress, the loss that our island felt. And I think our people are healing. Our people are helping each other to heal. But our relationships are healing with the Japanese. The Japanese people, our relationships are healing with the Americans. And it's not to say that we should just forget it, forgive and forget it. But we need to remember, and our children need to remember why that war was fought, why those things happened to our people. And we need to probably invest in that memory. As long as we keep putting it up there on that flagpole, as high as people can see, we're not going to let our people down that went through this problem. Should we chase after it? We should continue after it? Yes, on all fronts. Because somehow, some way, somebody's going to have to say, I'm sorry.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Senator?
Yeah,
say-
well,
say-
you know,
say- a minute 30, okay?
All right, thank you. My thinking is very simple. Jesse, I remember my father, I wasn't born yet, but my father came to Guam right after the liberation of the island. He was in the Coast Guard. He was assigned to guard Apra Harbor. Fell in love with the island, interacted with the people. And when he went back, a few years later, he got married, had children, and wanted to come back to Guam to be part of the island, to start a business. He started Guam Dry Cleaners and the Guam Department Store, by the way. And he always told me, I always must respect the Chamorro people. The Chamorro people went through terrible period during the war, and they must be recognized for what they went through. So that stayed with me growing up. It still stays with me. I've always advocated for war reparations. However, this is the problem. The problem is not the legitimacy in any way of the claims. The problem is the U.S. Congress, the politics of the U.S. Congress. Until that Congress becomes a Democratic Congress, with the Democratic Senate that we have and a Democratic House of Representatives, this is not going to pass the Congress. It has to be a Democratic Congress that will pass war reparations, because we always fall into problems with members of the Republican Party when it comes to war reparations in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate. That we need a Democratic Congress to get our War Reparations Act passed.
Okay, thank you very much. Adonis, please?
Sure, on the same note.
Yes.
Sure, absolutely. I don't know that it's about a partisan issue as much as it is about bringing the focus back down to, again, why our liberation was necessary, why even the imperial armies came here to Guam and decided to take it up. We're of value, we're of great value, and whether it's one party or the other, highlighting the value of this island and its people and our patriotism, we need to focus on how we can turn the tide for not just the generation past and remember them and honor them, but we remember and honor them by succeeding. This generation needs to succeed the last generation. And if it means continuing to remember the plight, but remember from it and learn from it and fight harder so that we're never in the position to be invaded, we're never in the position to be taken advantage of, we're never in the position to be exploited, then I think it is incumbent upon this leadership, our leadership, this house, our house, people in this house, to stand up and defend her in any way possible. It's not to say we'll never get reparations. It's not to say that one party or the other party will bring the resolution, but we are our own solution. Our people are our own solution, and we need to make sure that it never happens again. Every victim always wants to make sure that the next person isn't victimized the same way we were.
Thank you very much for that. And hey, our time has run out.
Oh,
We
my
have
goodness.
more time.
Wow.
We've
Wow.
done it. But anyway, let's have closing remarks. Again, tell your name, your number on the ballot, and what will be the first thing you do should you get in there. Should we start with you, or how do you want to do this? Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go
Well,
ahead.
again, thank you, Jess, for having us here, and it's a great pleasure. Thank you, KUAM. Jesse, my name is Judy Getherts. I'm number 4 on the ballot on the Democratic side. And I just want to say that really my priority is the safety of our people. Your safety, people of Guam, is my priority should I be elected to this legislature. I want to make sure Guam is a safe place for you and your family, that we don't have to put up with these terrible criminal assaults in our community, and that your children get a good education. Public safety and education are my priorities. Thank you very much.
What number?
I'm number 4 on the Democratic side of the ballot.
There
So
we
if
go.
people just vote Democrat, 1 to 15, they'll be in good shape.
There we go. Adonis?
My name is Adonis Mendiola. I'm number 12 on the Republican side of the ballot. I'm, again, a father, husband, and I want to reinforce the fact that as a father, I have 2 sons in college. One getting ready to finish college, another one just went into college. And I've got a high schooler. And I want to say that my platform is based on job training. Why? Because as a father, as a mother, as an uncle, aunt, we all want our children to have and find their purpose in life. We want them to be equipped and trained to be able to take advantage of life. And job training and higher, better paying jobs are going to come because I am going to make doubly sure that our children have something to latch onto, that there's not this hopelessness out there. And more importantly, I want to make sure our veterans are taken care of. They're the ones that defended their freedom. Let's take advantage of that freedom. And more importantly, let's work on the migrant issues, help shape that, so that together, as a community, as an island, as a region, we can rise above our current situation.
And your
improve
number?
it. My number is number 12 on the ballot. Thank you very much for your time, KUAM and the hosts.
Thank you, candidates. I appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank
you
you,
again for
Jesse,
joining us
very
for
much.
KUAM News' Decision 2014.
Excuse me,
Good luck to you, Judy.
Thank you.
Good luck to
Thank
you,
you so much.
Adonis.
Appreciate it.
Join me again
Adonis?
tomorrow
Thank
morning
you.
right here as we
Yes.
continue our coverage on KUAM News'
very good.
Decision 2014. My studio guest tomorrow morning will be former Senator Hope Cristobal, Democrat, and newcomer Republican Mary Torres. That's tomorrow morning right here, Isla 63. We're going to take a break for right now. We'll talk again in a little bit.